Welcome to Headhunterka podcast. Today's guest is someone I have to be honest with you. I know a little bit only about, but I am about to find out a lot more. He is a qualified lawyer, not just any lawyer, but the one who was admitted to the Bar Association of Barcelona, which already tells you something, that this is a person who thinks in systems, in rules, and in jurisdictions. He has deep expertise in the European VAT and insurance premium tax, the kind of knowledge that takes years to build and that most people in the industry will call on when they generally don't know the answer. And he is a specialist in something that makes even seasoned tax professionals pause. The Consorcio de Seguros, excuse me for my Spanish, the Spain's state compensation insurance body, which sits at generally unusual intersection of public law, insurance regulation, and indirect tax. In other words, Adam operates in places where the map runs out. And this is exactly why this podcast exists. Welcome, Adam Alonso.
Thank you very much, Isabel. I'm really happy to be here today.
How are you today?
I'm really excited, to be honest. It's the first time I'm speaking in a podcast, so yeah, I'm very pumped up and excited.
Excellent. That's great. So great to have you here. So let's start from the beginning, Adam. You were born in Spain? No, that's wrong. You were born in the UK. But you went to Spain and then you grew up really in the UK. Is it correct?
Yes, so I'm one of the only true Brightonians, as I was born in Brighton. So you know that in Brighton there's lots of people living and it's very hard to find someone that was born in Brighton. Well, I was born in Brighton. And when I was around 6 months old, my parents moved back to Spain. My dad's Spanish. And I grew up at the outskirts of Barcelona. Had a really fun time. One thing that not many people know about me is I was a semi-professional table tennis
player.
player.
Are going to get there, don't worry. Okay. That was my next question, but I know you are very excited about this. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the way you were brought up, because obviously we have two countries, Spain and the UK. So probably two very different versions of what normal looks like. Tell me more about this. So how did you find yourself between those two countries?
Well, I just grew up with it, to be honest. Like the fact that my mum's English, dad's Spanish, for me it was just natural to, feel part of two countries, growing up with two cultures. Although I will admit, probably I feel more Spanish than English.
Oh, that's
because I grew up in Spain and sort of most of my life has been there. So my thought process, the way I speak, the way I maybe think is more aligned with the Spanish way. However, after being in the UK for nearly 15 years, I will say that when I go back to Spain, I sometimes find that, maybe I've got more of a British way of thinking on certain aspects. So it's really funny because when I'm in the UK, I miss Spain. But when I'm in Spain, I miss the UK. And I think this is something that happens to many of us where we've grown up in one country, lived in another. And I always say I'm a European. So, it's English, Spanish. Yeah,
that's great. I feel exactly the same way. So you started actually as a fully qualified lawyer in Barcelona. Then you joined the Big Four. You worked inside a major gaming company. You also led global tax content teams at one of a very big tax technology organizations. So that's quite a journey. Was any of it planned, or did you just keep saying yes to interesting problems?
So it's a bit of an interesting story, this. Like, long story short, I fell in tax by accident. Yeah. So when I grew up, I was very clear. I always wanted to become a lawyer. But for those people that have worked in Spain, you know that the law in Spain is not like what you see on TV, where it's usually the American way, where Your Honour, I protest, it's very verbal. It's not like in the UK, where you've got barristers and they've got all the theatrics and that really nice way of telling a story. In Spain, it's more administrative, more written. And I started working in a small law firm, but doing more like notes from corporate meetings, deeds, etc. And they had this English customer. No one spoke English, so they said, "Hey, Adam, you speak English. Can you help him out?" I did, and sort of like started looking into tax thanks to that. And then I went to one of the big four tax firms, and it sort of all span off from there. One thing I do want to clarify is I'm still a member of the Bar Association in Barcelona, but I'm not practicing law as a lawyer. So it's just something I wanted to be very clear about. Yeah.
Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah.
So some time ago, you and me, we just talked about lost in translation.
Yes.
A phrase which is borrowed from one of the very famous movies. Given that your career has spanned languages, legal systems, tax regimes, and continents, what does this phrase mean to you personally?
So when things get lost in translation, I think what this means for me is more that we think in one language and we literally translate the words from, let's say, our main language to the language on the country where we are currently living. And it's funny because one thing I'm very passionate about, and I'll come back to the question, is speaking about the different music that the different languages have. And what I mean by that is the rhyme. You structure phrases in a certain way in a certain country and in a certain language, and that doesn't usually translate well. The example I've got with this is like the reverse charge mechanism. That's a technical term in VAT. In Spanish, you call it inversión del sujeto pasivo. The first time I started working in the UK, I translated this in a very different way, and everyone thought, what is Adam saying? Yeah. The way I translated it was the inversion of the passive subject. Now, literally translated, that means nothing in English. Or maybe it does, I don't know. But of course, the inversion of the passive subject versus reverse charge mechanism is something completely different. So, yes, going back to the question on what does getting lost in translation mean for me, I think one thing it means is you grow as a person because you start learning a new way of speaking, a new way of thinking, a new way of expressing yourself. And one thing one of my previous bosses always said that resonated a lot with me is that in life you learn, you unlearn, and you relearn. And that's sort of a motto I've got in my life, where, you know what, where we are today and the person or the people we are today evolves throughout the years. And what you learned in day one maybe is different to what you've learned in day 10,000. And you're always evolving as a human being.
Absolutely.
And, I relate this a lot to tax, yeah? Like, I remember when I started in tax, we were sending faxes to the tax office, doing things in paper. I learned Excel at work. I had to buy one of these Excel for Dummies kind of books, learn that. Then, logging into tax portals, submitting online, then you have to learn XMLs, and then tax technology, and now AI. So, if I think about my tax journey, that learn, unlearn, relearn is something that I've been carrying through my life. And, going back to what getting lost in translation means, it means you've got to start learning, and you're continuously learning things, words, expressions in the English language. And yeah, that's what it means for me.
I must say, your English is absolutely brilliant. And I remember when we started to speak together, I actually thought you are the native English speaker.
You're very
and you
kind,
told
thank
me
you.
that you are not. And I said, really? You have to speak Spanish to me. You have to really show me you can speak another language, because I couldn't believe you.
Yeah. Well, my mum will be happy because my mum is English,
Yes.
and my dad's Spanish. But I do think that maybe depends on the words I use or the
Yeah.
expressions, or like if I've been to Spain for a few weeks and I come back, I think my
You have
accent
to
is
adjust.
stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I have exactly the same. I experience the same. Great. So let's talk about some of your achievements, of course, during your career. So while working at one of the leading tax technology organizations, we know which one, you actually built a global VAT research team from scratch. So what does from scratch actually look like in practice? Where did you even begin?
So again, I think I was just lucky to be at the right place at the right time, and having a boss that believed in me and in my skills. I think, have you met the Adam the Adam that moved from Spain nearly 15 years ago was very different to the Adam that ended up in working and building a global tax team. I'll be honest, it was an exciting challenge, but also a nervous challenge, because it was the first time I was put in front of a business and being told, hey, Adam, can you help us do this? And again, you know, when you build teams, there's always things like budget constraints, thinking locations. And in fact, I was one of the reasons I was hired was to help with this process. Where did I start? I started with my network. That's when I think LinkedIn became very powerful. And then I think that was the time when I saw that publishing constantly information on LinkedIn or any social media that is used in work environments is important. Be out there just to try and attract talent, get contacts, and start from there. I think the other thing that was very useful and important was speaking to recruiters. In this case, it was internal recruitment teams, but being very clear on what we were looking for. Also being very clear with the business and what the goals were, what we wanted to achieve, and sort of try and align. And then, obviously have a lot of patience. You know a lot that it's a very long process sometimes to find the right candidate. It's also difficult to get people to break their notice periods or agree with their employers if they can leave earlier. So all these things were sent into the mix, and you then make also judgment calls, like, do you go for more experienced people? Do you go for people with no experience and you teach them yourself within the organization? It's finding the right balance. But yeah, I will say I didn't do it alone. I have a boss that believed in me, a business that believed in me, and great colleagues that were able to help me navigate some of the challenges that you get that you encounter when you are looking at CVs, interviewing. Like, I'll be honest, like the amount of interviews I did back then was incredible. And it's a learning process. If I think about the first interview I ever led with the ones I did that further to the end at a more senior position, it varies a lot. Also, the market's changed a lot.
Absolutely, yes. So we can say that you thrive in multinational environments, and you also are excellent at working with people coming from different cultures.
I would say more than I thrive in multinationals, I thrive in an environment where there's trust. Yeah, so it can be a large multinational, it can be a smaller business, but trust is one thing that works both ways. You need to build it with the team needs to build it with you, and it's never one-sided. It's always an evolving process where you learn from your colleagues and they learn from you. Like, no business is the same. No work environment is the same, and you could move the same people to another business, and the environment, the interaction would maybe change a bit, because there's this different things that influence the environment. I would say, yeah, I thrive in a place where there's respect. You've got honesty, and you're aligned in the values, and you can build that trust with your colleagues.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when we worked together. It was at the time from the candidate perspective, and we talked quite a lot. And what I remember from that experience with you, and I must say I really appreciate this a lot, is that you used something like gut feeling about how you felt about certain organization, the way they were actually conducting the interviews, and you used your gut feeling in that hiring process. Tell me more about how you actually choose and select organization if you decide you would like to join this organization. What is the most important for you? What you are looking for? What would be the kind of ideal environment for someone like yourself, who is very experienced global indirect tax leader? And tell us more about this.
Yeah, so I think that gut feeling comes with experience, and sometimes it's difficult to explain what that means, but it's more a feeling on if it feels right or not for you. Yeah. And I think that gut feeling, as I mentioned earlier, with the learn and learn, relearn, evolves with years, with experience, with knowledge. I always tell everyone I speak to that goes through interview process, if it doesn't feel right for you, then there's something there that you need to figure out why it doesn't feel right. And it could be many things. But I did learn from the past, from, maybe joining organizations that didn't feel right. And, I think I'm at an age now where I know what I want. And if something doesn't feel right, I'll say it. And I
you
think,
certainly said.
No, I did, of course. Like, at the end of the day, joining a firm is something that needs to work for both sides.
Absolutely.
Yes. Like, if you join an organization and you're not fully invested, or you join with reservations, you'll never be successful, in my opinion.
I agree.
Like, you need to be committed. And if there's something that just doesn't feel right, and again, that said, I'm saying this with a caveat, every person's situation is different. Sometimes, decisions are made based on external factors, but if you've got the choice and you're in a position where you can select, I think just taking time to reflect is something that every professional should take when joining an organization, because what you don't want to do is waste anyone's time. Because if you join a place and you are not fully committed, it's really unfair towards the organization you've joined, because they are not getting the best out of you. And I always say you need to always provide your best, your best, sorry. See, that was now my Spanish going in with the pronunciation, sorry. But yeah, that's...
Okay, thank you, Adam. That's great. So what do you value in a recruiter / headhunter when you work with someone on different opportunities? What is the most important for you? Obviously, it's trust.
Yeah.
I would say it's also from my side as well. But is there anything else you're looking for when you are kind of in a partnership with a external recruiter, headhunter who is actually representing you?
Yes, I think it's very important to limit, when you are looking for a job, limit the amount of interactions you are having with recruiters. And what I mean by that is you can't have 10 recruiters.
Absolutely not.
Looking for jobs for you. Yeah, like, you've got to build a relationship with the recruiters that you work with. You can have 1, 2, maximum 3 that you work with, provided you know in which area each one of those recruiters are working so that they don't mix. And at the same time, you've got to be clear with what you want and what you're looking for.
And they must listen.
Yes. But also, the other thing that's very important in a recruiting process, I feel, is although maybe you're not looking for a job, it's also important to build those relationships with 1-2 recruiters. Because when you are looking for one, it's easier that you know who to speak to, who to reach out for certain areas, and they'll take time and listen to you and sort of do their best to find the right opportunity for you, because you've taken time to speak to them, see what the market's like. And it's, as I said, you've got to build trust with your recruiter, and it works both ways. And I've always tried to sort of speak to recruiters every 6-7 months, maybe, just sort of exchanging points of view, or like sometimes people will reach out to me, hey Adam, do you know anyone for this, for that? And yeah, it works both ways, and I think it's very important to build that trust. And for instance, that's why I'm here today. Yes, we've built that trust together. So
yes,
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So Adam, you've seen tax from almost every angle: law firm, a big four consultancy, in-house gaming group, compliance firm, tax technology company. Which vantage point surprised you the most?
I would say the thing that surprised me the most in all this process is how similar the problems are from the different points of view. And what I mean by this is the following. If you're in an advisory, a compliance, in-house or a tax technology firm, the problem is the same. How do we get the tax right? How do we ensure that it's the less painful way to report the tax to the authorities and that it's correct? That is, I think, the main thing. Then, having worked in-house, having worked in advisory, compliance, tax technology, it gives you a grounded view on the market, on what the main problems are. And it allows you to see it from different points of view and understand where the advisor's coming from, where the tax compliance officer's coming from, where the company's coming from, and where the technology firm is coming from. It's, yeah, and sometimes if you don't have this overall view, you are just looking at it from one side, and that can give you a blind spot on all the other areas. But I will say, look, everyone has maybe got a different experience in this area. But yeah, that would be my point of view. Like the problem is usually the same one. How do we report the correct tax to the authorities?
Excellent. Yeah. One more question from the tax area, and then we'll switch into more personal.
Okay. Let's see.
You'll be glad to hear or not. I don't know. There might be some tricky questions. You never know. So I just wanted to ask you one more question about if you could change one thing about the way businesses think about indirect tax. Not the rules, but the mindset. What would it be?
I think one of the things I would like to change is the fact that indirect tax is usually seen as the little brother in the tax area. Although with some changes that have been happening throughout the years, it's become more and more important. But I think if you compare it to the corporate tax side of things, it's usually the big brother versus indirect tax. That's the little brother. And maybe little brother is not the right thing, but it's usually, everything is driven from what I've seen on a direct side. Although I must say things are changing and it's getting more and more important. But I would like to see a shift there and see them have the same weight at the table.
Yeah, thank you. And for those people who are just about to join a tax profession, I love this question. So what advice would you give to young new tax professionals who want to move into, for example, tax technology roles?
So I think there's two pieces of advice I would give them. The first one is you need to spend time learning. Yeah. And maybe this, what I'm going to say is going to be a bit controversial, but what I'm seeing more and more is that people don't really think through what it means joining a tax firm or working in tax. Some people think, it's easy, it's just numbers. No, it's critical. You need to get it right. Yeah. And some people may crumble under pressure. Some people may not. But in tax, you've always got deadlines. So you'll always have to manage your holidays, your free time around deadlines. The second advice I would give them is go in with an open mind. Tax has been evolving a lot. It's never stable. And the example I always put, I referred to it earlier on in the podcast, was when I started, we used to send everything by fax, do it in paper, then went into Excel. Then we had to log into the website and manually tap things in. Then we started with tax technology, learning how software providers worked and automating taxes. Now there's AI. Many people think that AI is going to take people's jobs away. I don't. I think we need to embrace AI and we need to use it in our work because, remember, AI has been created by humans and humans need to teach how things work. And you've got to challenge what AI gives you. Like many questions that come out or that you ask AI and the responses they give, you've got to validate it, not just go with the response it's given. So yes, learn as much as you can, go with an open mind and spend the time learning, because what you learn in the earlier stages of your career will help you a lot in the future.
It's a great advice. Thank you, Adam. That's brilliant. So, you started a little bit revealing about your passion, about your past hobby. So what's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you outside of tax and tax technology?
Yeah, sorry, I spilled the beans a bit earlier. But I used to play semi-professionally table tennis in Spain. And when I say semi-professionally, I was being paid not much, like 100 euros or so. But I still, that's my claim to fame, I would say.
Okay. Okay, but tell us more about this, because semi-professional table tennis, how does that even happen? Walk me through how serious it actually got in terms of the competition side.
Yeah, so look, I started at school playing, and I was, probably 11, 12, something like that. And then I had a coach that asked me to join a club outside of school and be what we were called federated. And then, just playing. And, I also dabbed into being a table tennis coach for a couple of years. I also became a local referee for table tennis.
It was in Spain, yeah?
It was in Spain, yeah.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, at the age of 16, you get given some money to do something you like. It was not a life changer, but it helped. I felt it was a bit like pocket money, and it was good fun.
Sounds great. So what do most people not understand about how competitive table tennis actually is?
Well, I would say it's a mental game, and what I mean by mental is you'll see table tennis players being very agile, smashing balls from outside the table, but at the same time you've got to go with a game plan. Like everyone I've seen playing table tennis, or colleagues, they've all gone to achieve great things in life, and they've been very intelligent people. So table tennis helped me a lot when I went to university, like in the way I structured my thought process. So that's...
Okay, that's great. You have another passion, sport-wise,
Yeah.
I am aware of, which is golf.
Yes.
So tell us more about that.
So, yes, look, one of my best friends, he invited me to go to the range a few years back, hit some balls, enjoyed it, and then, yes, started taking some lessons. I'm now a member at a golf club. And yeah, it's sort of something I really like because it gets you out and about. 3-4 hours, you have some social drinks after, and it's just a good time to spend time with friends, and seeing if you can beat each other and yeah, just be out and about. And I like being out and about, so
Yes, it takes a few hours,
Yep.
yes, actually, to be
Yes.
outside. So what is your handicap then?
or I'm a very high handicap. Yeah, I'm currently a 31 handicap.
Okay.
So yeah, I've really just started taking it more seriously the last couple of years. But yeah, my coordination is not the best. But yeah, taking lessons, learning, and yeah, I just enjoy it, to be honest.
That's the most important, really is. But which golf course is in your bucket list if you had a choice of any in the world?
Oh well, this week has been the Masters. I would like to play some of the holes there, to be honest. But will that ever happen? I don't know. I will have to take many lessons. And, yeah.
Well, everything is possible, I would say. Is there something else you would like to reveal, what you really like outside of work?
Well, I am a bit of a geek, and I like Star Wars. And yes, sort of, I've got at my home office a few canvases
Yes.
with different Star Wars backgrounds, and yeah, I just enjoy the films. When I grew up, I always thought, oh, I would like to travel into space and see all these different planets. And let's be honest, who doesn't like a lightsaber? Yeah,
Absolutely,
that's
yes.
it.
And I've got a few questions around it because I know also a lot of people who absolutely love Star Wars. It's just you are one of them who is passionate about. So Star Wars is actually famous for being extremely quotable,
Yes.
both from the philosophical position but also just funny quotes.
Yeah.
Can you tell me your favorite of each and why they stick with you?
Okay. Yeah. So I think the funniest quote, and more than funny, it's just something that resonates a lot. So Qui-Gon, let's see if I say that name correctly. Qui-Gon, played by Liam Neeson in The Phantom Menace, he was speaking to Jar Jar Binks, and he said a quote that made me chuckle a lot. That is the following: "The ability to speak does not make you intelligent." Now, why does that resonate with me and make me laugh? How many of us have been in situations, be it on the train, in social gatherings, and you're listening to people say some stuff and you think, yeah. And basically the way I think about this quote is more about, before you speak, think what you're going to say, be mindful of where you are. Because there's some things that you can say in certain environments and other things you cannot. But yeah, that's the funny one. There's another one that's not funny, that's more philosophical. And this one's a very famous one, said by Master Yoda in the Swamps of Daboa, when he was training Luke Skywalker. And it goes, "Try not, do or do not, there is no try." Now, why do I say this is a philosophical one? The way this quote resonates with me is, if you try, you are already admitting that there's a potential of failure. And it means that you are not 100% invested in what you're doing. If you do it, it means you are 100% invested, and 99% of the times it will work. Mm-hmm. But yeah, again, you could fail, but you are already going with a mindset where you are doing it because you're convinced. So if you're convinced in doing something, it most likely will happen. Or if you're convinced it shouldn't happen, then don't do it. But don't just stay in that myth. Oh, I'm going to try, let's see, let's not. No, you've got to be convinced with the decisions you've taken.
I get it. It's just the mindset, isn't
The
it?
mindset,
It's
yeah.
a proper mindset for everything what we do. The funny request I may ask, can you give kind of the best character impression from
I'll
Star
try.
Wars?
Let's see. I'll try and do Master Yoda here on the last quote. Try not. Do or do not. There is no try.
Wonderful. I really love it. I really love it. So that's great. Adam,
Yes.
so there is a lot what you've said, just like a Star Wars philosophy, a precision sports, a game that humbles everyone eventually. But honestly, tax is all of it. And now I would like to ask you to do a little demonstration of something else.
Okay.
And this is a big surprise, by the way. Adam has no idea what I'm going to ask him for. Yeah. No pressure.
No,
pressure is,
I'm surprised.
But pressure
Yes,
is on. Hold on.
Okay.
I will give you something special.
Oh,
This is what I have prepared for today.
okay.
And it's brand new, as you can see.
I can see, yeah. Wow.
Not sure about the quality of this. There's one of this for
Okay.
you. One for me. I'll just hold it.
Okay.
We'll leave it to the master, obviously. So, Adam, I would
Yes.
like you to take one of those balls.
Okay.
I've got two more. Maybe you can show us if you still remember. Obviously,
Okay.
it's not a table tennis, but maybe you can do a little demonstration of something.
Okay. Obviously,
Don't
with the mic and that here, I'll.
Don't worry, it's very light.
Yeah.
Will not break anything here.
Okay, so I can see how many touches I can do with the ping pong ball and try and turn it around.
Let's see.
And then try and give it
Yes.
to you.
I'll get ready.
Okay, so.
Oh, this is amazing. I'm so impressed. So impressed. But will I get it? That's the
Ready?
question. Oh, there we go. The game is on. The game is on. I love it. Absolutely. Thank you so
you.
much. That's really brilliant. And this is actually kind of the end of our conversation here. I'm so pleased to have you as my guest, my podcast,
Thank you.
Adam. It's been a great pleasure and great fun. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed this, to be honest. It's been very fun. And yeah, I encourage everyone to watch this podcast and participate if Isabella asks you to come. I've really enjoyed it, had fun, and thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.